Join me in the garden today as we work on our irrigation system for the front yard, and I walk through all of the steps and processes that I take to install a drip irrigation system here at the Horticulture Geek garden. Hey there everybody, and welcome back to Horticulture Geek. I'm Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the channel. Now, as you just heard today, we're going to be talking about irrigation systems, but this video is going to be a little bit different because when I first started filming this video, it was going to be a combo video of the irrigation system in the front yard and mulching the flower beds and revealing the final product of the landscape makeover in the front yard. But during editing, I realized that it was going to be too big of a video, and so I've decided to break this up into two different videos, with this one today being only about the irrigation. And so today's video, we're going to walk through how I've got my irrigation going and how you can do an irrigation system, a sprinkler system, a drip system at your home or in your garden if you are interested in doing that. So the video may be a little bit jumpy here and there, as I'm going to edit out pieces and things that no longer relate to that topic. So I wanted to give you all that caveat before we jumped right in. So with all that said, we're going to start rolling the video as I had filmed it, talking about drip irrigation. Here we go. Every irrigation system is different. Where you start your irrigation system to how you retrofit it is very specific on the systems you have and the needs you're going for. Okay, and there's different kinds of irrigation systems. I have a in-ground permanently installed irrigation system in my house. It's a Rainbird system, and it has pop-up sprinkler heads in the flower beds and in the lawns. And I am converting the pop-up sprinkler heads in the flower beds, some of them, to drip irrigation, which is what we're going to be doing today, so that I can then tap into that drip irrigation to water planters, containers, and specific plants. Now, different people believe that you should or should not do that. Here's how I'm going to do it. Now, whatever you do when you're dealing with a sprinkler system, whether that's one that you just attach a battery operated timer to a hose pipe faucet on the exterior of your home, or whether it's a real system like in ground in your home, in your landscape, is you have to keep water pressure in mind, right? So irrigation systems that are built in have a certain amount of pressure that is needed to allow those pop-up sprinkler heads to pop up and project the water. And so we have to keep that in mind when we are tapping into that kind of system, that we're not going to overburden that system to the point where it's too much water flow and there's not enough pressure. And equally, we have to be careful that we don't overwhelm our drip irrigation sections with too much water pressure, that it's just going to cause the fittings to pop off, the water lines to pop off, and it's going to lose the effect there. But just know that if you try this type of project and start to have issues, it's generally because you either don't have enough water pressure to do what you're trying to do, or you have too much water pressure and it's causing fittings and drip lines to blow out and water to spew everywhere, right? So you may have to use pressure regulators in place, or you may have to tap off some heads to build that pressure back up. And when you start trying to tap off irrigation heads, you've got to ensure that you still have good water coverage for everything that you're trying to do. So if you have an older system that doesn't have much pressure and it already has issues on it, you may not want to try this project. You may want to look for an alternative solution. Okay, so here I am at this sprinkler head right here. It's just a regular pop-up sprinkler head, and I'm going to convert this to an access point for my irrigation tubing. So I'm just going to move this light out of my way and then start digging, okay? So let me put some gloves on, and we're gonna start digging here and get this head exposed and disconnected from the pipe. Okay, so I got my sprinkler head out. You can see that right here. It was in the ground like this. I was able to twist it up and then unscrew it. If you look right there on the end, it's just a screw-on tip, okay? I now have a straight extension piece that I have screwed back in its place, okay? And this has some swivelability, you know, movability to it, so that I can adjust as needed. So now then, let's look at this piece. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 extension pieces. Obviously, I don't need this many extension pieces. I'm going to keep 3 of them, and I'm going to snap this off right here. And this is where my connector is going to live for the piece that will connect to the pipe. So let me put the camera down. I'm going to snap this off right there, and then I'm going to be installing a connector. Like you can see right here, it just screws on as well. So I'm going to do that right here, and then my irrigation tube will go right into this. All right, let me get that done. Okay, so I have the piece broke off. So there's that. I took that off. I didn't need it. So I'm left with the size I need. And it's a little wet right here because I went ahead and turned the irrigation system on for just a hot second, just to blow any mud, dirt, and debris out of this line that may have fallen in there while I did this. It's very important. You don't want to leave mud, dirt, or debris in your sprinkler lines, as it will clog up your system. So now I've got my fitting here, okay? You see I've got a screw-on extender pole, and I've got a screw-on adapter. Now, I am going to be using this black pipe as my irrigation pipe right here, okay? So, you just want to make sure, like, this is a 1/2 inch irrigation pipe. So I bought a 1/2 inch coupler piece. If you buy a 1/4 inch irrigation pipe, you'll need the 1/4 inch coupler pieces. So I'm going 1/2 inch. So now I literally just have to screw this on, finger tight, but not too overly tight. Okay, pointed it in the right direction that I need it to go in. Okay, so I've got that there. Sorry, the camera is shaky. I'm trying to do this one-handed. And now I've got my piece here, and you can see I've already put a pipe clamp on that. So now I just need to thread this on there. This just slides on. Easier to do with 2 hands. Okay, get that on there. And now then I can slide the clamp on and tighten it up. Let me do that off camera. Okay, so here we have it. I've got my coupler and down to my irrigation system. I've got my black irrigation pipe, and this is not this is solid pipe. This is just to get water from one place to another. This does not have irrigation emitter holes in it, and I've got it clamped on. And you may be thinking, well, Ray, why did you stop it right there? And that is because I'm going to take a small line down this way, and then the main line will run out towards the pots. And to do that, I have this coupler. Now these couplers are pretty awesome. I enjoy using them. They are shark bite couplers, so they have those little teeth in there that when inserted onto the pipe, clamp into that pipe and lock on and prevent this coupler from blowing off, okay? So we literally are just going to take this and put it down on that pipe. Again, easier two-handed. Okay, so I've got my couplers done. I've landscape pinned everything down. me move this light back out. I've got this line that takes off and goes this way. And then I've got this line that takes off this way and ends right here next to my pots. And obviously we'll do the same process for pipe on that side of the garden. I realized that my camera work was a little bit shaky when I was trying to explain the irrigation to you. So I wanted to take a minute right here and kind of explain to you irrigation in a nutshell, okay? Now, I know some people are very intimidated by doing a drip irrigation system, but I'm here to tell you, if you are a gardener and you want to, it will change your life to get an irrigation system. And like I said, it can be an existing in-ground permanently installed irrigation system that you convert to fit your needs like I have done, or it can be a system that's battery operated that just connects to a faucet, an outdoor faucet at your home that you build off of from there. But any rate, any which way you go, this is a project that you can do. The big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, whatever you have near you, carry these supplies. They are easy to get your hands on them. They're not super expensive. Some pieces and parts can be a little pricey, but overall the system is not expensive. And I just want you to understand that if this is something you want to do, it is doable. You can tackle this project. So I have here just a cut of the pipe. So this is my water pipe. So when I came off of my irrigation system, I used this connector right here, okay? Now, an irrigation system, an irrigation sprinkler head, is going to come out of the ground with a connector like this, okay? And so I can take this piece, and this is what was going on under the dirt, what you saw me do. The irrigation pipe comes up out of the main water line for the irrigation system to a sprinkler head. And I was able to just fit this piece on just like that, okay? It screws right on, and then this connects to this. Now, sometimes, depending on your adapters and what pieces that you find, you may need to pick up just a regular coupler unit, a joining unit, so you can screw it on this side and then screw it on this side to make that work. So hopefully that makes sense. So it really depends on what you've got coming out of your ground and what you're connecting to get this water into your supply line for your drip irrigation. So it'll either connect on directly or you'll need a coupler unit. Either way is fine. You just have to know what you're working with. And when you look at these pieces in your big box store, you'll know how to build off of this from here, okay? So I recommend, if you haven't done this before, to just unscrew your sprinkler head that you want to tap into and see what your connection is. That way you'll know right off the bat if you need one of these, if this is going to work, and you'll know how big of an extender pipe to get from that connection point to your flower bed surface to connect up for you there, okay? So hopefully that's clear as mud. You get that. Let me put this stuff down. So, like I said, out in the front yard, when I put this on here, let me get up close to here. I mean, you can see it has grooves. It is intended to squeeze on there really good. But depending on water pressure, this is a connector piece that you're going to want to put a clamp on. And I just use standard O-ring clamps for that. You just put it on, put the pipe firmly in place all the way up, put the connector on, screw it down to hold that in place. Otherwise, what happens is if you have a water pressure surge and the water builds up in here, it's just gonna pop loose and your water's just gonna spew out and not go down your line, okay? So that's how we connect from there. Now, if you want to split off from these, you can do that. Okay, so we've got different kind of couplers. There are straight couplers to connect line, straight line. There are couples, so you can, okay, so maybe you've got a long flower bed and then you've got to run off in another direction to hit another bed or another pot. They make couplers for that. Let's say you've got to turn a corner around your house, or turn a corner around a fence, or pop up and over something, okay? They make elbows. Now, these are the fittings that I was using in the front yard video, and these are the shark bite fittings. That's what I call them. They have those little metal teeth in there, which you can see. These don't require the O-ring couplers. Now, they have these types of couplers, and I don't have any here. Yes, I do. Right here. Okay? So, I've got an exterior shark bite that clamps onto my pipe to make a straight connector. Or I've got this type, which, just like a minute ago, it inserts into the line. I'm going to need to put an O-ring on here, okay? So keep that in mind. If your big box store only has this kind that's an internal fit, you're going to need the O-ring clamps. If you can get your hands on these, you don't need the clamps because it's built in with the teeth. And then it's just a matter of that point of running this supply line wherever you need it to go. And when you get to the end of your supply line, there's a couple of options. This is a shark bite end clamp, so you can see, and it just unscrews. I love this because it unscrews. You can use it as a clean out. If dust or grime or debris gets in your line, you can turn the sprinkler on, let it blow all that dust and debris out. Maybe something's going on and you need to reach something. You could actually hook a hose pipe to this, a watering hose to this, and run a line if your sprinkler system. I mean, there's options with this, okay? The other way to end a line is with a pinch clamp. And those look just like this. They're just two little circles of plastic. And you literally slip it on the line, okay? And then I'm going to bend and kink the line and then slip it back through. So now this is a pinched off line that will stop water from moving. So that's how I've ended my run here. I prefer this, okay? So there's lots of options when you get to the store to look at your pieces and parts, okay? Now, this is just supply line. They also make drip irrigation line. It's the same diameter, but it's typically brown, and it has water drip holes either every 6 inches or every 12 inches. That is really good to run through flower beds where you're going to be planting mass groups of annuals or perennials that you just want to kind of soak an entire area. You could hook your brown drip line directly into here with these clamps from your supply line, okay? Now, the way I did mine is I just ran my supply line, as you saw, through the bed, and I ran it up to the pots that I want to connect to. Excuse me. So now then, to connect my pot, all I need, so we're going to pretend that I've already got my end clamp on, okay? So this is my supply line in my flower bed. It's connected to my water source, and it is end capped at the end. And along the run somewhere, I want to connect in a drip line for a specific plant or a pot or a basket. This is where a hole punch comes in. You can see that right there. It just shoots up a punch. So we just stick it right over our supply line, punch, and there it is. So I now have a hole in my supply line. And then I take a connector. So let me show you my connectors. So I've got a connector that's a straight connector. This is a connector plug, so there's no end. So you can see here, this is just like my other piece. Water comes in, water goes out, okay? This is a connects in, but there's no way out. So if I mess up and put that hole in there where oops, I don't want that, or maybe I had a plant here last year, but I decided to move that container and I don't need this hole here anymore, I can close that hole up, okay? And just like the big fittings, they come in T's, they come in elbows, they come in all the things to really work your line wherever it needs to go. So then I take my drip line. So this is the actual drip line. So I've got my straight coupler. I can put it on my drip line, and this doesn't require any O-ring clamps or anything like that. The water pressure that comes through here is self-regulated. It should not blow a line from here. But I'm just gonna put that on there like that, and then put that in the hole that I've made. And now I've got water coming out to this piece right here. And this piece right here is what goes into my planter, my basket, or I can put it right at the base of a plant. And I've got different drip emitters that I can plug into here, okay? There's 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallon, 4 gallon. There are multi-fuses that'll put out like 6 or 7 streams of water. There are just when you go looking for sprinkler supplies, excuse me, there are just a bunch of different varieties that you can get, different options. But again, you see that, whatever, and the color coding usually corresponds to the gallonage per hour. So that's what that is. So it's easily identifiable to you in your container, when you're getting stuff out of the pot, right? So I just plug that into there, and I stick this into my container, and now I have water going right into my containers, baskets, pots, at a 1 gallon, a 2 gallon, a 3 gallon, a 4 gallon rate per hour. Okay, so what that means is, literally, it's self-explanatory, but if I ran this sprinkler system for 1 hour, 1 gallon of water would spill on my plant. Okay, I typically run my sprinkler system for 10 minutes at a time. So if I have a full sun plant and I have a plant that is incredibly water thirsty, I'm going to put a 4 gallon per hour emitter on the end of this line so that I am dumping a maximum amount of water onto that plant for when I run it, okay, to get it through the day. It really is going to change your watering game, because it gives you the confidence that your plants are going to get watered without your constant attention. Now, caveat to that, and I know I'm getting long-winded, but I want you guys to understand, this will never replace you putting your eyes onto the plant. So even if you set this up, you still need to check your plants, because these things can get clogged up, gummed up, junk can get in the line, a kink can form for whatever reason, and you have not checked your beloved hanging basket of petunias that you dug up from your great-grandma's farm out in the yard, and now they're dead because they didn't get watered for an entire week, and now it's too late to save them. So that you have to keep an eye on your stuff even with this, okay? But this does afford you the opportunity to go away for the weekend, take a vacation, get somebody who's not necessarily an expert gardener to babysit your garden, your yard, and give you the confidence that your stuff will still get watered, and then somebody would hopefully be able to help you out, spot a problem very quickly, take very minimal time to water your things for you if you're gone. If you work a full-time job like I do, I have my sprinkler system set off to go off first thing in the morning, and then in the afternoon it goes again for all my baskets and pots and planters. And then in the evening times when I have time, when I'm at home and I've decompressed and we've had dinner and did our family time, then I can go out and check my garden, check my pots, and I don't have to worry about them completely drying out and dying while they're waiting on me to have the time to come out there. So these systems are perfect. You can do this. Now, I did want to show you, because I, like I said, did mine to an in-ground system. But if you don't have an in-ground system and you just want to hook up to a standard hose pipe water faucet in your yard, a water faucet system, you're going to need one of these. So I have one of these to show you. So this is particular as a Rainbird brand. They come in different brands. You can get these anywhere: Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, Menards, whatever you got near you, True Values. You can order these online. You can get these anywhere, okay? But what this does, let me open it up. This is just going to screw onto my outdoor faucet just like my watering hose. And then looky right here. I've got another screw point that's going to accept. Okay, I'm going to need a coupler for this potentially, or whatever fitting that I may need, okay? So I'm going to need to get a piece that will connect to this. I don't have the size of this right here because I'm using this for my system, but you get the point. So this is a looks like an inch diameter, so you're going to need an inch diameter coupler, and you can bring that down to something like this. So you're just going to play with this at your big box store, and then you put your batteries in here, you set your timer just like you would set a timer for a lamp in your house or Christmas lights in your yard. Set the timer, and it's going to water your plants for you without having an in-ground system. Okay, so now then, also what I wanted to point out too is whichever method you go with, whether it's the system to hook to a water faucet or it's an in-ground sprinkler system, once you're ready to install your line into your pot, okay, most pots have a drain hole. If you have the luxury of starting a pot from fresh, put your irrigation line right up through the drain hole, okay? Once it's in the drain hole, then I can connect my emitter and put my soil in here and plant my plants. And now my planter is connected to the irrigation system without me seeing the mechanics of the irrigation system. It's a much cleaner, more aesthetic look, okay? Because especially if you're using, you've got like a big gigantic planter, you see my big urn over there, okay? If you've got a tall planter, a big planter, a planter that's highly visible from all sides, okay, it can get kind of tacky if you can't hide your drip line. Now, if you can't hide it, you can't hide it. To me, it's well worth the trouble to have the water, even if you have to see it. But pre-planting here, if you can hide it up the inside, that will be your best bet, okay? So hopefully that has helped explain the drip irrigation system. I know I rambled on for a minute, but I wanted you guys to understand that this is something that is easily doable. It just takes a minute of thought and knowing how to kind of connect these pieces and what pieces you're looking for. So I recommend you just go to your big box store, stand in front of the aisle, look at all the different fittings, couplers, connectors, think about your space, and think about how you want to lay it out, connect it up. And then even if you forget a piece, when you get home and you're putting it together, just stop, go back to the store, grab the pieces now that you know for sure you need, and come home and finish the job. You can do this. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about drip irrigation systems and how you can do your own DIY irrigation system at your home or garden. If you have enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you haven't hit the subscription for my channel, go ahead and do that and hit that notification bell. It'll let you know every time we post a new video. And I will be having another video coming out soon where we reveal the final landscape makeover here at the front of our home at Horticulture Geek Garden. So stay tuned for that video. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave those down below and I'll do my very best to answer them. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until next time, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.